Welcome everyone, my name is David and I'll be doing the service today. And the topic is recreation, co-creating with the divine. And I want to mention that it was so nice to have some children in the room this morning, playing around on the floor like a couple of little puppies. And so grateful that John and Callie bring their grandchildren out. It brings a really special energy to our service. We can still hear them in the foyer. And they're beautiful. But I was looking at those little girls and I was reminded of when I was a little boy, somewhere around their age. And my first friend that I lived on a country road and there were no neighbors really close by. So my first friend, his name was Johnner, kind of a strange name, but he was right out of my imagination. He was my imaginary friend, and I can still remember his name was Johnner. And I had an imaginary cat and an imaginary dog. Even though we had cats and dogs, I still had an imaginary cat and an imaginary dog, and Johnner. And I spent hours playing with those guys. And obviously, it's the name stuck. I've never forgot it. And I didn't even know anybody named John, so I don't really know where it came from. But Johnner, if you're with us, thank you for those hours of fun we had together. But I thought when I saw those little girls and I was thinking about that, I thought how much imagination plays into the idea of co-creating with the divine and recreation, and just how the sky's the limit when you break out of the mold of what we perceive ourselves to be and what we think can be achieved. And as I grew older, and I started losing touch with my imaginary friends, I had new friends that I could see and touch. And as we grew up, we had a lot of fun together as well. And one of the things, just in terms of recreation, that I really enjoyed when I was going to school was playing sports. I was, what's the word? I was not really suited for the classroom activities myself. I had a hard time sitting still and reading and remembering and learning that way. And that's still the way it is right now. I learn by doing and experiencing. And we are all different in that regard. But I remember how excited I was to get to go to join a basketball team when I was very little. Maybe around 10. Could barely get the ball up to the hoop. We were so small. But I remember something that one of my coaches early on said that really, really stuck with me. And he was explaining to us how to shoot just a set shot, which is you just are shooting like this at the ball. Maybe you can turn it into a jump shot when you're a little older. But he went through all the technique of showing us how to do it. And then he said, and then when you release your hand, just pretend like you're saying goodbye to your girlfriend. And at that age, it was really funny to me. And for some reason, it's still really funny today. It stuck, again, just like Johnner. These things from our childhood stick sometimes. And I had a lot of fun playing basketball and football and other sports. But I was thinking about that this morning, and I think the most fun I ever had playing basketball was in the early days of Sunburst when we were younger. And we played a lot of basketball, just groups of guys, one-on-one or whatever. But our games developed into a point where we stopped keeping score. And we just were playing for the fun of playing. And I remember thinking, man, this is really a lot of fun. We weren't worried about who was ahead and who was behind. Just every play stood on its own merit. And every move that you could make, or every pass that you could make, or every shot you could make was in and of itself enough. You didn't have to be winning or losing. It was really a special time in that regard, and gave me a whole new outlook on athletics and on sports. And I was also thinking this morning about a movie that I saw years ago that fits into this topic of recreation and co-creating with spirit. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with it, but the movie is called Chariots of Fire. And it was about the 1924 Winter or Summer Olympics that were held in Paris, I believe. And it focused on a couple of gentlemen from, one of them was from Scotland. His name was Eric Liddell. And he was a very devout Christian, and he wouldn't do trial runs on the Sabbath, and he had all these rules, but he was really, really a good runner. And this is what, in the movie, this is what they quote him as saying: "I believe God made me for a purpose, but he also made me fast. And when I run, I feel his pleasure." And I think that when we're co-creating with the divine, whether it's running, or we're creating art, or we're writing a song, or we're figuring out how to do something in our work environment, that when we're really plugged into this divine creative force and this imagination of the divine mind, and we are able to merge with it, we really, really are achieving something that is great. I thought about some of the people who really did break out of the mold and went on to do really amazing things. And a couple of them that I thought of this morning were Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, and just how they did not allow whatever people were saying couldn't be done to stop them from just continuing to create and expand. And they may not have ever given it the thought that I am co-creating with the divine, but in reality, when we think about it, we are all co-creating with the divine from the time we're a little child. Because everything that we do, everything that we achieve in this life is made possible because of that initial connection that we have with Divine Spirit. And I think for someone on the spiritual path, the key is to remember that we're co-creating with the divine, and to do things to remind ourselves that Divine Spirit is closer than our next breath and is inspiring us through our minds to do the things that we do. I was thinking about this concept and how if we look at our life as a mission, that we have come here with the conscious decision to come into these bodies and to perform a mission that is worthy of creating a legacy, that it's good to every once in a while check in, with mission control and to take the time to actually reflect on what is our next move going to be. What are we going to try to do to move this project that we're doing, or whatever adventure we're involved in, to move it forward with divine guidance. I can tell you that I had the great opportunity and privilege to witness the founder of Sunburst, Norm Paulson, over the years before he left this earth. And he really would not make a move many times until he had divine guidance. And we would be hoping that he would make a move, but he would wait. And I think that as an example, I've seen that, and I know the value of it. And maybe we don't hear inner voices, or we don't see signs that tell us we should do this or that, but our intuition is always alive and available to us and guiding us. And all we have to do is make some space in our life, in our daily life, for that intuition to come forward. We don't have to go anywhere else or write anything down or anything. We just need to sit down, close our eyes, and listen to inner space. And just give ourselves the opportunity to have some space in our regular, everyday thinking to receive these inner inspirations that drive the decisions that come from our intuition. It's a very simple, very easy thing to do, but something that is not always easy to remember. So if we're thinking of our lives as a divine mission, and not just that I'm going to live today, and then I'm going to live tomorrow, and then I'm going to live the day after that, and eventually I'm not going to be here anymore, but that there's a purpose that runs from the beginning to the end. And then we can, if we remember that, it'll remind us to check in and to look for that divine guidance, which will help enrich and support the mission that we're here to do. So let's take some time together now to sit quietly for about 15 minutes and create space within our consciousness for this super consciousness to have a place to get a foothold within the self-consciousness of our minds and give us that expansion that we are all capable of having. co-creating with the divine implies that we have an active relationship with the divine. And again, I'm reminded through the example of the founder of Sunburst, Norm Paulson, and through his teacher, Paramahansa Yogananda. They talked about God like we would talk about each other, like a real personal relationship. Yogananda gave a talk that was later called The Divine Romance. And for him, his relationship with God was everything. He was never, ever interested in becoming a householder, even though there was an arranged marriage for him at a very early age. He knew from a very young age that his love and his devotion was to God. The thing that both of these men did, and so many other people who have become God-realized have done, is to encourage everyone to realize that we each have this capacity to have a personal relationship with our divine Creator. Even people who proclaim themselves atheists, when they have a near-death experience, they come back from it with a personal relationship with the being of light that they encountered in their near-death experience. And they are forever changed. So it doesn't really matter what we believe. We are destined to be reunited with the divine. And maybe to even put it better, we're destined to awaken to the realization that we are united with this divine energy. And it's for each of us, each of you. Allow your divine imagination to carry you away into that relationship. Don't become crystallized in the personality that you have become. But know that you're so much more than that. So much more than our habits and our beliefs and our prejudices. We are a spark of that divine love, that divine energy. And by creating space in our life for it to gain a foothold, we start becoming an expression while we're here on earth of that divine energy. I brought a number of things to read today, so I'm going to pick one. And I'm going to pick something that was shared in one of our morning meditations here at Sunburst. We meditate here in this room as a group, Monday through Friday. And Sibylla, who was supposed to do the service today but had something come up, she shared this. So I thought, well, I want to share something that she shared, and it's really good. I think you'll like it. It's from Deepak Chopra. Look upon desire as the willingness to receive what God wants to give. This world is a gift. There was no compulsion for the Creator to make it. God's ability to grant unto you is limited only by your ability to receive. And today, we're expanding our ability to receive as we sit together. I want to thank everyone for coming to today's service.
Oh, come to me, thou shining sun. You are my life, my only one. Rise within my soul like fire. Let nothing quench this burning desire to see you, to know you, to hold you in my grasp, to stand the shore where oceans meet, of present, future, and past. Sun, in still of night, thy will be done. Let all the children sing, let all the heavens sing. Shining sun, you are my life, my only one. Rise within my soul like fire. Let nothing quench this burning desire to see you, to know you, to hold you in my grasp, to stand the shore where oceans meet, of present, future, and past. Sun, in still of night, thy will be done. Let all the children sing, let all the heavens sing, let all the children sing, let all the heavens sing. Let all the children sing.